You all should understand that letting go is the way of Ketu, the way of the Buddhas. And so when Ketu is in a specific house, he has gone beyond the matters related to that house. And so no matter what you do, the house he is placed in brings nil results, shunyata, emptiness. Whereas the house opposite to Ketu gets activated, fired up, because Rahu is on the other end. And so I will be sharing just a small overview of Ketu in all 12 houses. So when Ketu is in the first house, the focus is on the other, the partner. It can be your marriage partner or it can be your live-in relationship partner. Self-realization becomes difficult with Ketu in the first house because the whole focus, obsession is about the other, the partner. It is therefore an unfortunate placement, not for Ketu, but for the native who has never ever paid attention to channelizing the Ketu energy towards self-realization, and he or she continues to go on and on and on. They know a lot, but knowing is missing. They become scholars, but they can never become the Buddha unless they stop focusing on the others and start focusing on the self. When Ketu is in the second house, the focus is on the hidden secrets, in-laws, debts, and all sorts of supernatural sciences, whether it is black magic or whether it is witchcraft or whether it is hypnosis or whether it is past life regressions, or else if there is a better quality to the horoscope, then the person can also get into surgery. He can become a good surgeon. So it all depends on what exactly the Rahu 8 position is all about. When Ketu is in the third house, the focus is on religion, higher education, in-law, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, publications, because you all should understand, wherever Ketu Maharaj sits, there is absolutely nothing that is to be expected. However, the other side, exact opposite to Ketu, where Rahu sits, that side is your desire. That side, that house is where your desire is completely focused on. And so third house Ketu makes the person more religious, more focused on getting higher education. It all depends on how the horoscope is, but the whole focus is on the 9th house. When Ketu is in the 4th house, the focus is on career. These men and women are too obsessed with their career. And I have met many crazy men and women who would do anything to get to the top of their career. Because when Ketu is in the 4th house, Rahu is in the 10th house. And Rahu 10 men and women, they just can't sit quietly. Meditation is very difficult for these men and women because their whole focus is on running and running and running. Even they become a CEO, still they are not happy. They think that something more is still remaining to be attained. When Ketu is in the 5th house, the focus is now on networking, social life, getting benefits from friend circles, trying to come out and become more public. A highly extrovert person is what a fifth house Ketu brings along. When Ketu is in the sixth house, the focus is on the beyond, the unseen, the monastery, the actions behind the curtains, the spirituality, the yoga, the meditations. Sixth house Ketu, that is why many scriptures and many sages have considered as the most benefit position, because disputes and conflicts and your open enemies, all these matters are taken care by Ketu, because wherever Ketu sits, he brings a total minus. But the only factor that affects Ketu 6 is your health, because Ketu is not bothered about doing regular exercises so that you remain fit. And so Ketu 6 often brings diabetes, blood pressure, or certain chronic diseases. And on the other side, in the 12th is sitting Rahu. A 12th house Rahu brings a lot of focus on the matters that are beyond this world. You can call it supernatural. You can call it something that your eyes cannot see. It can be ghosts. It can be magic. And if the horoscope has a good quality to it, then it can also be a great blessing for meditations, yoga. So it depends. Either it can go towards the occultism, or the native can go on the path of love and devotion, which is spirituality. When Ketu is in the 7th house, the focus is on the self. I become greater than the other. Such a man or woman always keeps their partner on the back seat. Such a woman always is found to take the front seat and keep her husband on the back seat. A woman with a Rahu in her ascendant is indeed a challenge for any husband. And a man with a Rahu in his ascendant is also a great headache for any other woman. Whenever Rahu or Ketu is in the 1st or 7th house, there is a definite possibility of the native either being under a spell of black magic or is haunted by certain ghosts. When the Rahu is in the 1st house, because when Ketu is in the 7th, Rahu will be in the 1st house. And when the Rahu is in the 1st house, the person is too obsessed with his or her body. I have seen many women and many men who look so good because they maintain themselves. They are so much obsessed with their body that they will see that they are in shape. It is a good thing. But when you do something too much, then too much is always a sin. That's what Lao Tzu says. Too much is the only sin. When Ketu is in the 8th house, the whole focus is on family, money, possessions, bank balance, and building fortunes. Because when Ketu is in the 8th house, you have Rahu in the 2nd house. A Rahu in the 2nd house man or woman is too much obsessed with money. And the best part is, they will never ever let you know. They will appear as if like they have absolutely no interest in money. But within their body, within their mind, the desire is boiling. They want more and more money. They are just too greedy for money. And they also are very obsessed with their family. When Ketu is in the 9th house, the whole focus is on doing something, communicating, expressing, obsessed with the siblings. Such a person is always restless, because when Ketu is in the 9th house, you will have Rahu in the 3rd house. Such a person is always very restless. This restlessness, if gets a positive support, then they really do something unique, and then you can see somebody, a good entrepreneur, a good businessman, or a man who is so adventurous that he takes the risk, he shows courage. He may start a new company. Nowadays there is a lot of talk about startups. Rahu third is a perfect person for a startup, provided there are some better aspects to this Rahu. When Ketu is in the 10th house, the focus is on the home, the mother, the properties, the urge to be the center of attraction. Material happiness is the focus. No matter how much this person gets, he or she always feels that it is not enough. Ketu in the 10th house brings Rahu in the 4th. And when Rahu is in the 4th house, you have a mommy's boy, because the mother is too obsessed with the son or daughter, and the son is too obsessed with his mother. Now it's a challenging situation for a woman who is going to get married with this man, having Rahu in the 4th house. I have seen many quarrels in such scenarios because the mother is too obsessed with the son. The son cannot and is not willing to listen anything against his mother, and then the poor lady, the wife, is in a dilemma. When Ketu is in the 11th house, the focus is on learning. Such women and men are passionate about learning, and they are also passionate in romancing, learning and romancing. Without these two aspects, they feel lifeless. They can become doctors and engineers because learning is more. Obsessed with learning. 11th Ketu brings Rahu in the 5th, and so they are always obsessed with learning. They want to learn more and more and more. It's a good thing, but as I say, obsession is always bad. It's okay to love your wife, it's okay to love your girlfriend or boyfriend, but when you become too obsessed, then the miseries begin. 11th house Ketu can produce good artists, because art and romance, love and poetry, painting and dancing is what their passion is. Rahu in the 5th definitely brings multiple relationships, because the person wants more adventure. In fact, the word romance itself means adventure, and so this native is not happy, and he just goes through cycles of relationships until a day comes when he realizes what an idiot he has been. Ketu in the 12th house brings focus on the daily routine life. Such people are passionate about job. They also do extremely well in politics, generally are liked by the society. They also are fitness freaks. Many fitness professionals do well with this placement, because the focus is always on who is my enemy and how can I defeat him or her. They generally defeat their opponents. Our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had a Rahu in the 6th house and Ketu in the 12th. So this is all that I wanted to share with you all. And I want to ask you all a question. Have you seen a seesaw? The one that you see in children play park? If you sit on one end and a child on the other, what will happen? You will be down and the child will rise up. Ketu always remains on the ground, down, a nobody. While on the other side, Rahu fuels in and blooms up the matters related to the house in which Rahu is placed in. So as you see, Ketu is Shunya, and no matter where you place the Shunya, the zero, the empty, the result is always the same. 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. The result is always the same. 0 is Ketu. The result remains the same. Best and worst is for someone who is going to give you, provide you with something. Best and worst is not for someone who has absolutely nothing to give, to provide. There is absolute nothingness. And so, how can you expect Ketu to give worst or to give best when there is absolute no giving? To the nature of Ketu, the very essence of Ketu is Shunya, 0. There is no giving and there is no taking, absolute nothingness. In nothingness, there is everything energy. The ending is a beginning, says Jiddu Krishnamurti. One day, a young man came and said, I have lost my job, my home, my wife, my daughter, my son. Now what to do? I have lost everything. The master smiled and said, now you have to restart again with strong belief that everything is going to be just fine. The young man said, but the master said, as long as there are buts and ifs, you will remain stuck. What has happened. It was your past. Now is your present. And life is flowing now. Life is neither in the past and nor in the future. Life is now. And so get back to work and always remember, it is never too late. Ketu may bring emptiness. Ketu may clear the ground just so that you move to the next level. How deep is this? Many times it happens, you become a loser just so that you grow double in years to come. And this is the way of God, the benevolent master. This is the way of Sri Ketu. You may not realize his way at the moment, but one day you will. Jesus once said, you don't understand now what I am doing, but one day you will. A Rahuish man or a Rahuish woman cannot understand the language of Ketu. They are the ones who will condemn Ketu, who will condemn me. Probably they are the ones who dislike my videos, but that's okay. And I can understand their problem. They just can't get away from the other. They are so much focused on the outside that they just cannot understand the language of Buddha, the language of meditative yogi, the language of Ketu. Buddha therefore says that remember the forgotten language. A man once asked, what is this forgotten language? It is the language of silence. Unless there is silence, truth cannot be realized. God cannot be experienced. Love cannot be experienced in the true sense. Always remember, real communication happens in silence. Knowledge is noisy and truth can be found only in silence. When you meditate, you become silent. In that silence, the self speaks. The heart moves, vibrates, and then there is a song to it, a dance. Always remember, whenever you expect anything in return, you are bound to feel frustrated. Cut yourself off from the past and the future and live in the present, and your life will become a song, a dance. Ketu is innocent. He has absolutely nothing to harm. because he simply has no agenda. You become frustrated with Ketu only when you are deep into sex, money, power, lust, greed. When you are obsessed with all of this, you will definitely resent Ketu. It is your ignorance that becomes the hurdle, that becomes the cause of the worst outcomes when Ketu Dasha begins, or when Ketu transits over your sun or your moon. Then your mind starts boggling. Then you start wondering why everything is losing out from your tight grip. Rahu. Then the clinging nature of Rahu is challenged by the let go nature of Ketu. And because you have been habitual of clinging, of attachments, you find the Ketu period as the most difficult period of your life. So, my friends, and all my listeners, and all my readers on Quora, my followers on Quora, to all of you, I insist, try to become more and more detached. Try to not to react to those negative people who may dislike you, who may comment negatively, who may try to hurt you. Just ignore them. Always remember, when an elephant comes in a market, there are always few dogs who will come and bark. But the elephant never reacts. He simply keeps walking and sharing his song. Just be like that wise elephant. The most beautiful example is of Arjuna. The years of exile was not at all an issue. His nature was not of clinging. Lord Krishna would command and Arjuna would simply follow, and that was the beauty of their relation. The relation between the master and the disciple is the greatest love relation. The master stepping towards the disciple stepping towards the master. How to express such a divine pure love? Oneness. No love is so total as the love that happens between the master and the disciple. The love that happened between John and Jesus, the love that happened between Sariputta and Buddha, Arjuna and Krishna, Chuang Tzu and Lao Tzu. These are the real love stories, the highest pinnacles of love. You can become a disciple only when you can resonate with the energy of Ketu. Because the very first step that Ketu wants you to take is to drop your intellectualism, drop your ego, drop your learning, and become a nobody. People don't understand. The majority is running behind all that shines, whereas the real thing remains away from the limelight. Because the moment the limelight comes, the danger of getting dragged into the never-ending, glamorous, distracting world of Rahu is always there. The real yogis therefore remain away from the people, though they continue to share their message, their direction through someone who is a nobody. And this nobody is a Ketu, and so how can a nobody cause harm to someone? Ketu never cause harm to anyone. If you place a holy divine idol on your disco floor, it is obvious that you will start going through hardships. The fault is not of the idol, the fault is in your ignorance. You are so much ignorant that you don't know where to place what. It is like a blind man who just plays with the real diamond and then shouts to the whole world that I am struggling, I am poor. Whereas in his hand there is $1 million diamond, a real diamond, but he cannot see, he is a blind man. And so, to all my fellow travelers followers and readers. First, you have to understand Ketu, and to understand Ketu, you have to first walk on his way, and his way is inward, turning inward. And so, come you all, let us meditate. Let us go again and again to the inner space and experience the peace, the joy, the abundance of love within. Always remember, you can love others only when you can love yourself. The first ripple of love has to be around yourself. Only then can the love reach the farthest shores. Only then can your love heal those who are suffering. Only then can you comfort those who are in trouble. But it all has to first start from yourself. You must love yourself first, then you create a ripple of love that will touch everyone's lives. You have the power within you. Make a start and heal yourself first. Ketu is the key to heal yourself first, and you all can do it. Those who have been following me must be something special, because following me and listening to my podcast or reading my answers is not everybody's potential. Very few, the chosen ones, can only relate to my sharing. In fact, it is his sharing. I am just a medium, just a humble servant. Many times people ask, when will my master find me? Should I go in search of my master? The answer is no. You need not go in search of him. He will come in search of you. The master comes in search of you. The child seeks the mother, but the child missed to realize that the mother too is waiting to meet her child. Your first birth is through the mother. Your second birth is through the master. The master is equal to your mother. He surrounds you like a mother. The master is your spiritual mother. The master is more like a mother than the father. The mother can understand you more than your father. Always remember, what you seek is also seeking you. There is absolutely no need to go anywhere. Just be where you are and focus within. Turn inwards and move towards total surrender. And then when your surrender is total, when you are a nobody, a Ketu, when you have dropped everything that no longer serves the higher purpose of your life, then, only then the master will come, only when you are 100% ready. When the disciple is ready, the master appears, says the divine master Lao Tzu. And when the disciple is really ready, the master disappears, says Lao Tzu. Because a true master would never want his disciple to remain dependent on him. He would never want his disciple to remain attached, because the very essence of spiritual life is to become detached, more and more detached. Ketu is the very source of detachment. Ketu enables you to cut all those things that have become useless to your real growth, the spiritual growth. And so Ketu is beautiful. Ketu can heal. Ketu is not for those who have lost their eyes, meaning awareness. They can never relate to Ketu, and in the process will continue to live in the illusion that Ketu is causing them hardships. Let them live in those illusions while you all, my fellows, you all continue to focus within. Take a deep breath and meditate morning and evening, minimum 1 hour. Whenever you have time, meditate. I have seen many people living in riches, and yet in the end, what comes to their share is a misery and just misery. But you all can turn the tables. You all have still got time to turn inward, while the majority of this human world is concerned with turning on. You all can focus more and more and more on turning in. The whole essence of this human life is to turn in, and that's Ketu. That's meditation, and that is the surest way to eternal happiness. Bhagavan Raman Maharshi says, when you give up thinking of outward objects and prevent your mind from going outwards and turn it inwards and fix it in the self alone will remain. How beautiful and deep is this? To realize the self, you have to reach the state of no mind. And the way towards no mind goes through Ketu. If you cannot walk the Ketu way, you really cannot attain. You remain in the tight grip of Rahu. You remain in the tight grip of miseries. You have to make a choice. You have to begin with meditation. This can be your last chance. This can be your first chance. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows what is going to happen after this human birth. All you have got is this moment, the now moment. And the more you can be here and now, the more you can progress spiritually. The key is to be here now, to live without regretting your past and without worrying about your future. Past is gone, future is not yet. Now is the moment. Be here now. Meditation happens only when you are able to be here now. Once a young man had asked, "What is the easiest way to be here now?" And the master smiled and said, "Love." When you are in love, you are 100% able to be here now. And this is the beauty of love. So let there be love within you. No matter how many times you have been ditched or missed on love, always remember, lovers fail, love never fails. Love remains, and it remains forever. We all are born out of love. Love is our mother, says the divine Sufi saint Rumi. And so when you meditate, meditate with love, with devotion, with your whole being surrendered to the Master, to His love, to God's love. And then you can see the miracle happening. It happens. It always happens. This is the way of its happening. The larger question that you all should ask yourself is that, are you ready for it? Love brings you here and now, and then there is no looking back. The sky is clear and you are ready to fly. When you are here and now, not jumping ahead, the miracle has happened. To be in the moment is the miracle. Learn to be here now. And only then you can appreciate Ketu. Only then you can realize the essence of meditation. Only then you can experience the greatest miracle of your life, the miracle of transforming your life from the inside out. And if you all still are curious to know more about Ketu, then and only then I would encourage you all to read my book, Why Ketu Can Heal. Enough for today. Meditate every day and always remember you are not alone.